Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily But Fumble Sports Betting Show. Welcome, everyone, into our show. So great to see so many familiar faces jumping immediately into the comments section. Welcome to the show. We have 2 hours of live show ahead where we're going to cover everything in the world of sports, especially from a fantasy and gambling standpoint. Before we dive into all of that, I do have a few thoughts on what went down last night in Game 7 between the Heat and the Celtics. Also, plenty of news out of the NBA that we're going to touch on. So a few ideas, a few opening thoughts I want to get to. Then we'll touch on all of our bets from yesterday and obviously get into all of our picks for today. So I hope you settle in, are excited about what we're going to get into over the course of the next 2 hours. Jack, everyone watching, appreciate you being with us today. Really excited about our show. Before we get into our betting picks for today, I did just want to take a moment and reflect on how things went down yesterday. We did say yesterday that we like the Heat to cover. We took the Celtics on the money line. We looked at that referee matchup, and we thought it's really advantageous for the Celtics. And I have no regrets about how we played yesterday. I think we got our predictions right. Obviously, the Heat did cover, so we got that right. But I don't feel bad about saying the Celtics should have won on the money line, and here's my reasoning. The Celtics let themselves lose. Their shooting performance was atrocious. They did such a poor job of defending. They complained the entire game. And whether the complaints were justified or not, they weren't covering the Miami Heat, who were knocking down shot after shot. The Boston Celtics deserved to lose. The Miami Heat deserved to win. So my opening thoughts on that game is I have no regrets about talking about the referees beforehand. No regrets picking the Celtics to win. I did say I like the Miami Heat to cover, so we cashed on it. But you look at the Boston Celtics right now, and you're just reminded that Jason Tatum is extremely talented, but the Mamba, Kobe Bryant killer in him may not quite be there. We're always going to question it. Maybe it's still maybe that's still at this point a trite argument given what he did in Game 7 against the 76ers. But Jaylen Brown is up for a Supermax, and he's due to make a ton of money. He's just due to make a crazy amount of money. And given that guy had 8 turnovers last night, Jaylen Brown had 8 turnovers. I didn't know that was even possible in a Game 7. You would think that you would protect the ball just a little bit more. But I'm incredibly disappointed in the Boston Celtics. The one thing I am happy about, now that the Celtics have lost, we don't have to hear Boston fans for the next week talk about how they're the home of comebacks and all of that. So for a number of reasons, I'm okay not hearing from the Boston constituency about how their teams own the comeback. Frankly, I like the narrative now that the Florida Panthers and the Miami Heat had more wins in the Boston Garden in the postseason than obviously the Celtics and the Bruins. But that said, Florida won out. Florida beat Boston over the course of the last month. Happy about that. Think this NBA Finals is going to be a really interesting matchup. Jimmy Butler against Jamal Murray. Bam Adebayo against Jokic. This is going to be a fantastic matchup. Personally, I like the Denver Nuggets right now. I like that they're well rested. I like that they're a deeper team. And also, the Miami Heat have benefited from playing teams, specifically the Boston Celtics, who are not good at home. You can't say that about the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets are one of the best teams in the NBA at home. I think the Nuggets are going to win this series. Right now, I would say Nuggets in 6. We'll obviously talk about the series over the coming days, obviously pick each game, but really think this is going to be a fair matchup, a good matchup, but think the depth of the Nuggets ultimately wins out and think they're going to win the title. Do have a few thoughts about action around the NBA overall. A number of news stories have come out over the last few days or last few hours. First of all, Nick Nurse has been hired by the Philadelphia 76ers. That came out yesterday. Just thoughts on it really briefly. I think it's a great hire. I think Nick Nurse is one of the best head coaches in the NBA. Yeah, I thought his time with the Toronto Raptors had come to its end, so I didn't think there was any animosity. I thought it was actually a good breakup for the two of them because I think Nick Nurse needed to find a new place, and I think the Raptors probably needed a new voice in there. But I think Nick Nurse going to Philadelphia is a massive upgrade for them. I really like Doc Rivers, but we all know what he's like in closeout games. Nick Nurse is a really good head coach. If he gets into the postseason, I have a lot of confidence that he is actually an add for the Philadelphia 76ers as opposed to just another coach on the same level as Doc Rivers. So I do think it's an upgrade. But obviously for the 76ers, it's always going to be about Joel Embiid plus who? So if that's, right now, if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, you should be happy about the hire, but you have to obviously be upset by the fact you had Jimmy Butler and you let him go for Tobias Harris. You thought Tobias Harris was the better long-term investment. Jimmy Butler went away. Now look at where Jimmy Butler is once again in an NBA Finals, and where the Philadelphia 76ers continuing to claw at the ceiling that is the second round of the NBA, playoffs. Those are my thoughts on Nick Nurse and the 76ers. One last basketball thought for you. Golden State Warriors GM and president Bob Myers has stepped down. Really an end of an era for the Golden State Warriors. For me, this really is the sign that the dynasty of the Warriors is over. Draymond Green may stay, Klay may stay, Steph may obviously stay with Steve Kerr, but Bob Myers really was the architect of this team. He was the one who put this together, and his brilliance in large part is why the Golden State Warriors were able to become the most recent NBA dynasty, and his departure will be felt. I don't think the Golden State Warriors are going to win another title over the next few years. I do think that his absence will be felt. The rumors are that either the owner's son could move into the role, or Mike Dunleavy Jr. could move into the role. I'm not saying either one of those picks is a bad one, even if nepotism is at work. I think both could be good hires. But I think Bob Myers is one of the best general managers, not in the NBA, but in NBA history. I think he was outstanding in how he constructed the team year after year, finding veterans, finding young pieces, continuing to build around that core of Steph, Klay, and Draymond. And I think Bob Myers is going to impact the Golden State Warriors' ability to continue to compete in a Western Conference that will get better, that actually has been kind of in a low point over the last few years, and I think will get better over the next 2 or 3, and the lack of Bob Myers will be felt. Now the really interesting question is, where does Bob Myers go from here? I know a lot of New York Knicks fans have their eye on him. Could he go to another place? Could he go to a Chicago? Where could Bob Myers go? Because I don't think he's done being involved in basketball leadership at an executive level. If the Lakers hadn't gone to the Western Conference Finals and they had moved on from Rob Pelinka, it would have been a perfect fit to slot Bob Myers in as GM and president of the Lakers. That obviously won't happen with their deep run into the playoffs. Rob Pelinka proved that he deserved to keep that job. But definitely something that's really interesting to watch for over the coming months. What are we going to see in the NBA? The dominoes are starting to fall. The earthquakes are starting to take effect. And we're gonna feel the aftershocks of all of this. The Western Conference is definitely going to be changed. And on the other side, just to touch on it again, Jaylen Brown is a major piece for the Boston Celtics. Are they going to move him? Are they going to sign him? That Supermax is hanging over their head. Obviously, Jason Tatum next year. So the loss last night for the Boston Celtics doesn't just keep them from an NBA Finals and a chance to add banner number 18. But for some Celtic fans, they may be concerned that the window is closing a little bit, at least on this version of the Celtics, given that Jaylen Brown is a shit-or-get-off-the-pot situation. You either got to pay him a ton of money, just a stupid amount of money for someone who just had 8 turnovers in a Game 7 of an Eastern Conference Finals. But that's the NBA nowadays. You pay stupid money, and I feel like you got to swallow it. The only problem with that, the new rules around the CBA, and how salary cap is. If you pay these mega contracts like the Celtics will have to with Brown and Tatum, you really can't build the kind of depth around them that you used to. By the way, shout out to Bob Myers for just that. I'm able to pay my superstars and still add a number of role players at discounted prices. That's not going to be as easy now in the new salary cap era of the NBA that they're shifting into, and how they're trying to limit the amount of money that certain teams can have to build these super teams. Really important now what the Celtics do moving forward, but I'm sure Boston's disappointed. For everyone who's not a Boston fan, this must be a great day, because Boston being able to brag about the Patriots 28-3, the 2004 Red Sox, and then this would have been unbearable to so many of you. So for a lot of you, I'm sure it's a great sunny day. In the city of Boston, I'm sure it's a bit cloudy, but for all of you, we're moving on past the NBA action of yesterday. One programming note for you before we get into our conversation around our picks for tonight. One thought or one quick note. We are having an NFL show tonight at 7 p.m. on TikTok Live, YouTube, and Instagram Live. We will have a NFL preview show where we're going to go through every team, every week, every game, and we will give out who will win, who will lose, so you can start looking at NFL win totals for the 2023 regular season. Believe it or not, today marks we are 100 days away from the NFL regular season starting. Here on May 30th, this is a beautiful Tuesday because we are 100 days away from the NFL kicking off its regular season. I can't believe we're only 100 days away. I know it's going to fly, but we're getting ready already for our 2023 NFL regular season. So join us tonight at 7 p.m. for this NFL Future show. Should be a lot of fun. Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about when it came to the NBA and our NFL show tonight. Great to see familiar faces in the chat. Kyle, great to see you. Top Dog, great to see you. If you're watching on Instagram Live and you want to see all of our picks and the research we're about to do over the course of the show, go over to our YouTube channel, hit the link in our bio, go over to our YouTube channel, Butt Fumble Sports, and you can watch everything we're about to do. Quickly looking at how our picks did last night, you can see it was actually a pretty good night for us overall. We had a terrible night when it came to picking MLB games, but we actually hit on one of our long ball long shots of the day. Matt Olson went deep against the Oakland Athletics, against his former squad. So we hit on that, 1 for 3, given that Max Muncy didn't play last night. Did pretty well on our MLB prop bets, even though we didn't give out that many. I wish I had given out more, given that we were good with them. And our NBA, we were just hot yesterday on the NBA. Even the ones we missed, we barely missed on Derek White. We barely missed on Jason Tatum. I don't feel as bad about missing on Jason Tatum total points. That ankle injury really did change the outcome of that game. Let us know what you guys thought about that one. Would love to know your take. Do you think if Jason Tatum doesn't get that ankle injury, the Celtics win? Do you think the Heat were always going to win? Kind of curious to know what you guys think of what went down last night. That said, we're going to clear the board like we do every day. We're going to look towards the future or towards tonight's action. So we'll throw our results from yesterday in the graveyard. And we'll get focused on today's action. So make sure you throw your questions in the chat. We have a ton of picks to give out over the course of the show. For all those that are new to the show, that are curious how we give out our picks, every time you help us out with our live goal, hook us up with that confetti on TikTok Live, we'll give out a pick, as well as every time we hit a 2,000 like benchmark. So when we hit 2,000 likes on TikTok Live, we will give out a pick. IP Shade 45 is already hooking us up with some confetti, so we already have a pick to give out. But before you do that, IP Shade 45 says, Duncan Robinson turnover hit. Yes, it did. Brogdon under 6 points hit. Yes, it did. No, you were dead on, IP Shade 45. By the way, one of the picks I actually had, but I didn't give out, was Jaylen Brown over 2.5 turnovers. That hit. It was just one of those games where a lot of prop bets hit that we expected. Funny enough, the ones that didn't hit were the ones that we kind of said to avoid. We're kind of the over on scoring. Scoring wasn't really there. We said to take the under. The under hit. The under hit on the alternative line that we took, as well as the original line. But the Celtics were just ice cold from 3. Unbelievable how cold the Celtics went from 3. Anyways, we're going to get into one of our picks. Actually, we're going to give out 2 picks. We've already hit 2,000 likes. So we are about to give out 2 picks for today's action. So make sure you're paying attention right now. We're about to give out 2 picks. So make sure you're staying with us for this. Let's give out some MLB game picks to start this one off. We're going to start with the Padres and the Marlins. Padres and the Marlins. By the way, I'll blow this up so you guys can see it. Padres and Marlins, we are going under 9 runs. We're taking that at minus 175. So minus 175 on the under for the Padres and the Marlins. Ryan Weathers, Sandy Alcantara pitching in this one. The under is 7-2 in the last 9 meetings between the two teams in Miami. The under is 9-2 in the Padres' last 11 road games versus a right-handed starter. And the under is 5-1 in the Marlins' last 6 home games versus a left-handed starter. So just a lot of trends that lean towards the under. We like the under in the Padres Marlins. That's the first game pick that we're giving out. We're going to give out a second one right now. Noticed on our ballparkpal.com website, there's a lot of weather today that suggests scoring could be down. Scoring could be down across Major League Baseball. You see there's only one game that's expected to have plus probability on runs based on the weather. Everybody else will have Orioles 60, and the reasoning behind that. The Orioles are actually 6-11-2 as an over record as a home favorite. That's the third worst over record in Major League, but clearly lines are being set a little bit too high for them. The under is actually coming in way more often. The under is also 4-1 in the Orioles' last 5 games overall. The under is 20-6 in the Guardians' last 26 games versus a right-handed starter. And the under is 10-3-2 in the Orioles' last 15 home games. So a lot of reasons to like the unders overall today. I'm taking the under on both of these games. We'll get to a lot of unders across Major League Baseball today. So already 2 picks given out. There you go. Y.A. Tittle, Caleb Martin, 25 points, Miami win, plus 420 easy money. Y.A. Tittle, 24. Happy you cashed that ticket. You know there's nothing we like more than seeing those loyal viewers cashing tickets every day. Great to see it, Y.A. Tittle. Joseph, thanks so much for the lightning bolt. If you've got a question, throw it in the chat. I'll get to it in just a second. IP Shade 45. Dodgers should take care of business today with Gonsolin on the mound. Has good success versus Washington. Completely agree with you, IP Shade 45. Great call. Let's look into it really quick because that's actually a pick I like, but it's not one that I had included in my pre-show picks. So definitely one I'm willing to add to the big board. As IP Shade 45 mentioned, Tony Gonsolin on the mound today. Tony Gonsolin on the mound. He's actually been really good this year. Really impressive. Just going to move the screen over. And you can just see Tony Gonsolin, unbelievable ERA. I don't know if the Dodgers knew what they really had in Tony Gonsolin, prior to the season. I know they've been working on him and he's slowly been improving, but really impressed with him. You can see just shy of 30 overall innings pitched, but an ERA of 1.82, fantastic. We also look at how the Nationals hitters have done against him lifetime. That's what we call dominance. That's what we call ownership. Not one hit amongst the entire group. So with that said, this is an easy play for me. The problem, IP Shade 45, is the minus 300. Don't like the minus 300. Not a great play, but we go to Dodgers minus 1.5. Dodgers minus 1.5. You saw it hit yesterday. In the head-to-heads, interesting. This has been a bit tighter than I would have expected, but this is a much different Washington Nationals team. So for a lot of reasons, I'm actually willing, if we go jump back, you look at Jake Irvin, starting pitcher of the Nationals, ERA at 5.32. IP Shade 45, I like where your head's at. Let's throw it up on our big board. We're going to add this one to our big board. We're going to take the Dodgers on the run line at minus 1.5, and we're getting them at minus 130, I believe. Here is why he called the national championship of lacrosse yesterday. Notre Dame wins its first national championship in lacrosse against Duke. Did we have that? No. Did we know anything about it? No. But Big Dave came on the show, dropped some knowledge for any of you who are willing to tail him yesterday. Maybe we have now found our new correspondent when it comes to college now found our new correspondent when it comes to college we have lost results. Big Dave, can we try? Big Dave would love to get your takes on everything that you got that kind of confidence in. So big shout out to Big Dave. Hope Big Dave's out too late because we're giving you the credit for it. Maybe not everyone cashed on it, but you can certainly be hailed as a hero today. So throwing you your question. He gave us that lightning bolt a moment ago, so I want to say thank you by answering his question. Joseph is asking about Kyle Hendricks over 3.5 strikeouts. Let's go look into it. Big shout out to everybody who's watching on Instagram Live, TikTok Live, and on YouTube. So in our bio, go to our YouTube page. You can see our broadcast and the research we're about to do right here on the screen. That way you never miss a pick, you never miss research, and you guys can get as much information as possible to make some informed bets. Let's look at strikeouts for Kyle Hendricks. Now, first of all, Joseph, one thing I'm going to say, love the implied probability on this. 57% on the implied probability. And once again, looking at the weather across Major League Baseball today, this is another game in which looking at the weather, the likelihood of certainly something we like when it comes to keep him in the game a little bit longer. Again, you guys may go, what is the weather runs, and thus staying in a game long enough to collect the kind of strikeouts that we need. So Joseph, 3.5 is what you have the line set at. That's what I'm seeing here as well. Now, the problem is Kyle Hendricks has only had one start this year. He had that one start against the Mets. He did get 5 strikeouts. You do look at the trend and you like it a lot. Obviously, his last 6 games pitched. Half feels like a really safe play on this one. Now, the Tampa Bay Rays are a good offense, no doubt. If we look towards the Rays and their history against Kyle Hendricks, though, I like what I'm seeing here. Not too many high batting averages, and the ones that do. Mejia does have the home run. I actually took note of him in my notes pre-show. But you have a couple guys with strikeouts, but not a lot of big numbers. So I actually do like this. I'm not going to throw it up on my big board, but I do like Kyle Hendricks over 3.5 strikeouts. Just looking at alternative lines, nothing here that really stands out as something I would want to take. So if I had to go in one direction on this, I do like Kyle Hendricks over 3.5 strikeouts. Spoiler alert on this, well, given the weather and the 2 starting pitchers. Dave, you're big on tennis. Dave, DM us after the show. DM us on TikTok, Instagram, or on Twitter. Would love to talk to you, Big Dave, about making some content with us. By the way, that goes for all you guys. If you guys love sports betting and you guys want to take your crack at being a sports on-air talent or making some content, Butt Fumble Sports is a community of sports fans that want to create sports content. That's what we're about. So if you guys want to join the sandlot of guys and girls participating and making picks, we have NASCAR, we have UFC, we have found it at Sports Fumble. At Sports Fumble. One Big Deal 22, you know what we're trying to do. Let's make Butt Fumble Sports huge. We want to be a community of sports fans that contribute to one another's success. That's what we're all about here, having fun. It's just sports. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Once we hit 4,000 likes, we will give out another pick. We're getting a question. We're getting 2 questions from YouTube. Appreciate those who are watching on YouTube. Want to make sure I pay off your questions and comments. Austin, and the reason really behind this is the starting pitcher. You can see the line movement here has taken this a bit down, though. It started at minus 190 yesterday. A lot of, not a lot of money, but money coming down on the Reds. Interesting here, Ben Lively does give up some home runs, but really that's more of a function of him pitching in Cincinnati. That's just a home run hitter park. but his ERA is pretty good. For only pitching 17 innings, he's kept it pretty low at 2.65. So certainly impressed by Ben Lively. He was someone I was kind of dogging earlier in the year because of those home runs, but he's picked it up over his last few starts. But on the other side, Brian Bayo has really impressed. Now that ERA is higher than you would think, given that how I'm going to speak about him in just a second. But I'm really impressed with how he's pitched over his last few starts. He had one start early in the year where he got kind of blown up by the Blue Jays, I believe. Kind of expanded that ERA above what it really should be, or skewed it outside of what it really should be. But he's been impressive over his last few starts. He may be someone you want to consider on strikeouts. You look at that 9.42 strikeouts per 9. He's got not really devastating change, really good change of speed on those. So I'm really high on him. That's one of the reasons why I understand why the Red Sox would be favored in this game. However, you look at the two teams, Red Sox have been struggling a bit of late. Red Sox are not playing great ball of late. So if we're just looking at over the last, 20 games, Red Sox are actually an under 50% play, while the Reds, they're a 500 team. So there's something to keep note of. Now, head-to-head, don't take too much from this. This is how the Reds have You certainly have some offense. Again, Cincinnati, creates a lot of offense. Bayo Fraley, 3 for 3 in his career. Something to keep note of. On the other side, let's look at the Red Sox. No experience against the current starting pitcher, but against right-handed pitching, Verdugo, Duran, Yoshida, Tapia, 4 guys above 300. If I had to lean in any direction, I would lean towards the Red Sox on the money line because of the starting pitcher. I will once again bring up the weather for this game. I know the wind's blowing out to left field, but actually not a great game for home runs, good game for doubles. This is a game in which Verdugo and Yoshida are definitely on my radar. Verdugo, Yoshida, and Fraley. And Fraley are 3 hitters, 3 left-handed hitters who I think could have extra base hits in this game. So you may want to take all 3 on over 1.5 total bases. But this is a game where if I had to pick it, I would lean towards the Red Sox on the money line. That's answering Kyle's question. Top Dog asked a question on YouTube that we'll answer really quick, and that's about Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen on the bump. He is asking about strikeouts for Zach Gallen. Over 6.5 is where the line is set. Implied probability, exactly 50%. Not great. Let's look at it. Cashing ticket. Really interested to see here what goes for an alternative line. 5.5. That's really unfortunate. 5.5. You're getting at minus 230. That's not a great play. The under is set at got a minus 118. That's interesting. Let's see how the Rockies have done against Gallen. When it comes to strikeouts, you have a number of guys who have struck out against him, and against right-handed pitching, you have a couple strikeout percentages that are a bit higher, 27%, 36%, 28%, 35%. Let's go to Fangraphs really quick. And I want to look at how the Rockies have done on the road against right-handed pitching. On the road against right-handed pitching, are they a high strikeout team? And the answer is no. Teams 166. Obviously a large sample size on that. Jumping back over to Outlier, looking at the head-to-head. Very hot and cold. Let's look at it from a home perspective. So you see, we're just trying to find any trend possible that will encourage it. Here you go. Here's one trend that we like. In his last 3 starts against the Rockies when he's pitching in Arizona, it has gone over 6.5. Maybe that's something that we like enough to put some money on it. I'm really not crazy about this one. If I had to lean in any direction, I would lean slightly towards the over top dog half, but don't feel crazy about it. Definitely not 1 in 1 unit. Just bet 1 unit on it, but don't feel great about it. Wouldn't put it up on my big board. Here are the picks that we have put up on the screen so far. Here's our big board so far. We are about to give out another pick because we've hit 4,000. Love Big D helping each other out. Cash some parlays. Love you guys helping each other out. Wonderful, wonderful. And Big Dave's giving out even more picks. Tail with caution, but I do like the idea of giving out some advice for everybody. Idea of giving out some advice for everybody. Okay, we're going to give out another pick right now, so everybody get ready. We're going to give out another pick. I'm going the eyes. And we're taking that at minus 145. That's Jose Ramirez over 1.5 hits. Average, 1 home run, 2 doubles. Sorry, forgive me. 1 home run, 3 doubles, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. So really good numbers for Jose Ramirez. Again, not expecting a lot of offense in that game. Not expecting a lot of offense for Jose Ramirez to get a hit, maybe get an extra base hit, maybe get an RBI. I will also throw up on the board a second pick involving Jose Ramirez because I don't just like him on 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I would also take Jose Ramirez on total bases as well, over 1.5 bases at plus 115. I saw that. I saw it at plus money. I actually like the opportunity to take it at the plus money. So there, because of his history against Kyle Gibson, we are taking Jose Ramirez over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs.
We touched upon it.
At Butt Fumble Sports, whether you're watching on TikTok, to cash tickets in a way that I'm not expecting. Kind of like what I was thinking about turnovers in basketball. That's what really inspired it. We've been cashing on a lot of turnover plays in the NBA, and I was like, man, is there one I could take for MLB that's kind of a rabbit hole play, something that's off the radar, people aren't focused on. Obviously, strikeouts is one of them. Strikeouts is one that we're going to play more and more. But stolen bases. Stolen bases goes off at plus money. It's usually a really good play. So I bring this up all around what IP Shades 45 is bringing up in the chat. Alex Fado. I was looking at research. I went to some website called razzball.com. RAZZball.com. And you can look up various stats. And one of the things I was able to look up is who has the worst percentage of steals allowed. Which pitchers allow the most stolen bases? Did you know that Alex Fado allows the 9th most stolen bases in terms of percentage in baseball? I didn't. I had no idea. So that said, in today's game, really quick, between the Tigers and the Texas Rangers, maybe you want to find someone on the Rangers who has stolen bases. This might be a good game to take whatever the speedster is on the Texas Rangers to get a stolen base. Alex Fado is actually a pitcher who allows a lot of them. So you guys may want to keep track of bases. There are actually a couple pitchers today who are not good at that, so we'll bring them up throughout the show. But just something I wanted to make note of for all of those who are looking for kind of an unconventional ticket to maybe go cash. Okay, that said, let's dive into IP Shade 45's question about Alex Fado. 4.5 strikeouts. Over 4.5 strikeouts. Let's look at it. So first of all, the implied probability set at 52%. Not spectacular, but let's check into it. Has hit
like, and it's
on the road. Already have that up. IP Shade 45. I'm willing to take this one. I would take the over. Rangers strike out a lot against right-handed pitching on the road. Like that stat, I would go with it. And Marcus Semien is what you're saying is a good strikeout. So the answer to your question, I would take Alex Fado over 4.5 strikeouts at minus 107. Don't like any of the alternative lines. Don't like any of the alternative lines, so I would take that IP Shade 45 to answer your question. Okay, and I want to follow up on what I was just talking about, stolen bases. Let's look at stolen. Plus 550. A plus 550. That's just a curious bet. That's like taking a home run bet. So it's kind of interesting. Let's throw it up on the board. I'm going to do this. We'll have fun with it today. I'm not saying you guys should tail me on this one. I'm putting it out there. I'm not saying you guys should tail me on this one. As I just said a moment ago, this is me trying to do some research to try to find some interesting bets over the course of the MLB season, trying to just explore different bets that maybe I'm not looking into. I talked about how in the NBA playoffs, turnovers all of a sudden became a really good pick to play. So now I'm looking for it in baseball. Strikeouts is one I've got my eye on. Stolen bases, though. Strikeouts, you're going to get minus odds for the most part. Stolen bases, you get those plus odds. So interested here. Marcus Semien, over half a stolen base at plus 550. I'm going to put it on the board. I'm going to put it kind of to the side, though, just so you guys know. I'm even going to put a minus sign next to it so you guys know. I'm not saying this is one you guys should tail. We're just going to keep track of it. Over half a stolen base. And I'm just at plus 550. Let's see what we get here. Let's see what we get from Marcus Semien. Maybe we stumble into an interesting play. Maybe this is something that's worth playing. We'll have fun with it. We'll see what comes of it. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you throw your questions in the chat. Make sure you throw comments in as well. We obviously got comments here on TikTok Live, but if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you throw comments in. I love getting reaction. If you agree with our picks, if there are other things you want to talk about, obviously if you're watching on YouTube, would love to get your engagement as well. For those on TikTok, getting a question from Gaz, Phillies game over 8 runs. Okay, one more time, I do want to stress, today is going to be a bad weather day. Today is a day in which I'm not crazy about almost any game hitting its over. So for all of you who are looking at the over-under plays today, be mindful of the weather. In a number of games, we don't just have tough wind, it's also a bit cooler in some places on the East Coast, like Boston's expected to be in the mid-50s, 60s. So there should be a bit of a tougher time scoring runs. If you're looking at that Phillies-Mets game, the likelihood of runs down 17% in that Phillies game, likelihood of home runs down 27%, likelihood of strikeouts down 24%. So Gaz, be really careful about our over-under plays today. I know the winds say it's blowing out to left, so maybe you're like, oh, Pete Alonso on a home run. But overall, this is going to be a tough weather day. Let's look at some of the trends. We're going now to covers.com. Covers.com is a place I love to go looking at trends. So interestingly enough, looking at the over-under for the Mets and Phillies, the under 12-5-1 in the last 18 meetings in New York. Continuing to look at trends. So you guys can see it up on the screen, looking at the Mets. Then we'll jump back over to our Outlier app, look at this game. I'm diving into this one because I'm actually going to give this one out as a pick in just 1 second. The over-under set it at 8.5 right here. Now for the Phillies, this has been a cashing ticket over the last couple of days. But you're also saying that's against Atlanta. There's a lot of runs being scored overall. Good weather conditions in that series. Meanwhile, Mets were playing in Colorado, so they obviously had good weather factors in their favor for the last few games of that series. But overall, I'm not feeling this one as much as you may be. Now, if I had to go in any direction on this game, I actually put this game out earlier as a pick I really like. If I had to go in one direction for this game, and I'll put it up on my screen, I'll put it up on our big board, I do like just going to put it up here. I do like the Mets on the money line for this game. I like the Mets on the money line. I'm taking them at minus 120. The reasoning behind that, I really like the starting pitching matchup. Ranger Suarez, huge ERA. I know he's pretty much just a starter, but I do think the Mets can maybe scratch a run or two against him. On the other side, yeah, Cody Senga's ERA looks high. He actually has a really good ERA at home. His ERA at Citi Field is just 1.57, so a low ERA, only 1 home run allowed. So if I had to go in any direction on this Phillies-Mets game, I would take the Mets on the money line. But when it comes to the over-under in this game, I would be careful about taking the over. I'm actually would be closer to taking the under. I would rather take the under, let's say 9. Under 9 at minus 135. I would rather take that simply because of the weather. One more time to ballparkpal.com. The likelihood of weather in this game, or likelihood of runs based on the weather, way down. So certainly impacts me there. Appreciate all of you guys joining us, getting to some of your questions. Candyman, yo, great to see you. How you doing? Colton, Ruiz for the A's is the stolen base leader, so his matchup might be looking into the future. By the way, let's jump into that really quick because another on the bump today for the on the mound today for the Braves is Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder is the 15th worst pitcher in baseball at preventing stolen bases. So once again, let's look at Ruiz. So we're going to jump over into our player prop bets. Let's plug in Ruiz right here. And you look at stolen bases, the implied probability, 45%, still going off at plus 120. So Colton, that's exactly right. We're going to throw this one up on the board. And again, for those who are watching the show, we're throwing it up on the board, but I'm putting the minus sign next to it. Be careful of tailing these. We're just having an experiment today on stolen bases. We're trying to find a couple of good plays, just some interesting bets that maybe we can find that are maybe a bit unique. Good places to maybe take some plus money. So just a bit of an experiment today. So just be mindful of that. These aren't picks that I'm necessarily endorsing. I'm just seeing if we can find some creative rabbit hole plays in ways that we haven't been looking at bets over the last few weeks. So that's going off at plus 120. Let's see if we can cash on some of these stolen bet plays. Having some fun here at Butt Fumble Sports, trying to find creative bets. Colton, I agree with you, and that's exactly my thinking. We have our long ball, long shots of the day. That's where we give out our home run picks. Stolen bases is kind of the same category. You're getting it at plus money. I understand it's not an everyday kind of play, but much like home runs, if the pitching matchup kind of lines up well, if you have a starter who isn't necessarily good at holding runners, why not take a chance on it in the same way that if somebody who gives up a lot of home runs is on the mound, why not take the long shot bet on a home run or two? Colton, appreciate the confetti. We're going to give out another pick. Additionally, we've hit 8,000 likes, so we're actually going to give out a couple picks right now. Top Dog, so happy you cashed with Lauren Davis on tennis this morning. Top Dog, look at you. Nice play. Love to see it. Dante and Top Dog, I'll get to your strikeout questions in just 1 minute. But first, we're going to give out a couple picks right now, thanks to Colton and you guys hitting that like button. So we're going to give out a couple more picks right now. Let's give out our first long ball, long shot of the day. Now, keep in mind, I would say be very, very careful about our long ball, long shots of the day. I know we did hit one. By the way, we've been doing pretty well on our long ball, long shots of the day. We have 3 in a row right now, 3 in a row. So with that said, I feel pretty good about us. Starting to get into a bit of a hot streak with our long ball, long shots of the day, so hopefully that trend can continue. But just be mindful, this is not a big home run weather day. Again, the only game right now with a plus probability on home runs is the Twins-Astros game. That is the only one right now where the weather is actually increasing the likelihood of home runs. So just be careful about taking home runs today. I am going to give out a long ball, long shot of the day, though, because we always do. And the first one I'm going to give out is Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani. And I'm taking Shohei at plus 295. Plus 295 for Shohei. Shohei Ohtani is facing Lucas Giolito. In his career against Lucas Giolito, Shohei Ohtani has decent stats. Where are we here? Can't find it right now. Shohei Ohtani, decent stats, but I love the idea of taking him. Lucas Giolito gives up home runs to left-handed hitters rather, at home, so I do like it. And again, just looking at Shohei Ohtani, I want to show the probability on this one so you guys can see the implied probability on home runs. 25%. 25%. So I do like that play. Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run is our first long ball, long shot of the day. If I do look at the weather for that game, that White Sox-Angels game, as you can see, just a tough weather day, but at least it's only -9, so one of the few. ZZ, you see where the wind is. Tough play right here. Tough play. I am not saying it's a good one. I just like Lucas Giolito giving up home runs at home to left-handed hitters. Shohei Ohtani is the one I'm going with. Okay, let me give out another player prop bet. Let's give out another player prop bet. This one I feel really good about today. Wilson Contreras of the St. Louis Cardinals. I am taking him over one and a half hits, plus runs, plus RBIs. St. Louis Cardinals got dominated yesterday by Royals pitching. Really surprised by that. Expect them to bounce back today, and especially against Zach Greinke. So the Royals have Zach Greinke going today on the hill. In his career against Greinke, Contreras has 4 at-bats, small sample size, only 4 at-bats, but in those 4 at-bats, 3 hits, 2 home runs. That's right. In 4 at-bats, 3 hits, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and a walk. So 5 at-bats, 5 plate appearances. He's reached base 4 times with 3 hits, and 2 of them have been home runs. Love Wilson Contreras today over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you follow Butt Fumble Sports. And of course, you'll hear me say, let others know about Butt Fumble Sports. Share the channel. Let others know, friends and family. If you have a lot of sports fans in your life, let them know that Butt Fumble Sports is here. We grow through your support. Okay, we're going to jump into some questions that we just got off of YouTube. Dante and Top Dog, you have 2 questions about strikeouts today, so let's look at it. The first one is Joe Ryan on his strikeout total, so let's go look at Joe Ryan on strikeouts. Line set at 6.5. Implied probability is under 50%. Has been a bit of a hit or miss. 2 games in a row, and then he's missed consistently. So if you look at it that way, he's due to hit the over on this, but that's not how we look at things. Big note here. Against the Astros in a start earlier this year, the strikeouts were high, but he also gave up some runs. So you wonder if the same thing were to happen today, would he be able to get the 6.5? Just because of how long he's in the game. Here are the stats against him. Just looking at the strike that the K percentage on the right side, showing you guys all this data. Right-handed, how have the Astros done against right-handed pitching? Couple guys above 25%. Maldonado, Pena, McCormick. Let's look at how the Astros have done at home against right-handed pitching. At home against right-handed pitching. Doing our research, looking at Joe Ryan and his strikeout over-under today. So the Astros are 21st in baseball in strikeouts at home against right-handed pitching. Not a great stat if I'm looking to take the over. Let's look at Joe Ryan on the road. Again, a very hit-or-miss play. Just a very hit-or-miss play. And look at the teams he's gotten the strikeouts against. Angels, White Sox, Yankees on the other side. Guardians, Red Sox, Royals. Just not a trend here. Not a trend here. So what I would say, Dante, is I'm not seeing any trend that really stands out. Let's look at an alternative line. At 5.5, you're getting it at minus 194. At an alternative line of 5.5 strikeouts, minus 194. But still, not enough here. Just not enough data for me really to get excited about this one. If I had to go in any direction, I would take the over 5.5. But Dante, this isn't one that I really like. Probably not one for me. Dante, I'll get to your comment in just 1 second, but I want to follow up on what Top Dog was asking about Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert, the Mariners pitcher. At strikeouts, implied probability here on the over, only 42%. We're really getting low on it now. It's going off at plus money. Alternative lines, over 5.5 at minus 148. Something to keep note of. So already I don't like it. They have it set at 6.5. That's just too high. That's just too high. Reset it. Set it at 5.5. Now I like it. Now look how consistent a play that is. So if I had to go in any direction, I wouldn't take the over 6.5. Top dog, I take the over 5.5. If I look at his stats over the course of the season, he has a good strikeout per 9, so love that. The Yankees have decent stats against him. That's a little concerning, especially their left-handed hitters. So a little concerning there. I wouldn't put it up on my big board, but top dog, if I had to take anything, I would take the over 5.5, get that at minus 148 for Logan Gilbert. Again, take the alternative line at over 5.5 at minus 148. Dante was just asking about or bringing up Ronald Acuna Jr. to get a steal. We were talking about steals just a moment ago, and are there some opportunities to take some players to get a steal? Let's look at Ronald Acuna Jr. to get a stolen base. 29% implied probability. That's going off at plus 245. Now, the starting pitcher that he is facing today in that A's game is J.P. Sears. J.P. Sears, who is a lefty. And J.P. Sears J.P. Sears isn't someone who gives up a lot of stolen bases, actually. So the answer is no. I wouldn't go with stolen base today for Ronald Acuna Jr. That actually isn't a play I like. Yeah, that's not a play I like. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. For a GR. What's a GR? Oh, a home run. Yeah. Interesting. That actually is the better play. That I'd be interested in. What's the weather looking like in Oakland? So Oakland, it is blowing out to right center. He does have that kind of power where he can hit through wind. Ronald Acuna Jr. is someone I'd actually be interested in a home run. Against that left-handed pitching of J.P. Sears, that's kind of an interesting play. An implied probability at 24%. Love that. Plus 320. I'm going to throw this one up on my board. Yesterday, I had Matt Olson who hit a home run. I like this one. Ronald Acuna Jr. We're taking him at, what was it, plus 420? Plus 320. Oh, too bad. Got a little hopeful in those odds right there. But I'm going to throw that one up on the board as well. There you see it. Ronald Acuna Jr. to hit a home run. I like the righty-lefty matchup against J.P. Sears. We don't have too many long ball, long shots of the day, given what the weather is, but interesting one. Top Dog is asking about Tony Gonsolin for strikeouts. Let's go dive into that one. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Appreciate you all being with us here for our Butt Fumble Sports Daily Sports Betting Show. We are live every single day on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube. Make sure you guys are following Butt Fumble Sports. Make sure you're a member of this unbelievable sports betting community. Every single day we have live picks, live research, live analysis. We love talking with you guys and engaging. So welcome to the show. Hope you're having a lot of fun. We have a lot of picks to continue to give out. Here are all the picks up on the screen so far. So if any of you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We will continue to do research for the next hour. We have another hour of our show to go. So if you have picks, questions, or comments, whether you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, or on YouTube, all throw them in the chat. We are here for all of it. That way we can hear from you guys. We love engaging with you guys. Appreciate you being with us. We are right now looking at Tony Gonsolin for strikeouts is the next play we're looking at. Tony Gonsolin for strikeouts. And the 4.5 doesn't have a good implied probability at 47%, but let's dive into it. Hasn't been a strong play of late. I know he's going up against the Nationals, though. Interesting. Gonsolin has a really good ERA, but he's not a high strikeout pitcher. That's under 7 strikeouts per 9. Most really, elite pitchers are above 9 at this point, 9 strikeouts per 9. So for him to kind of be under that 7 mark is really notable. Let's look at how national hitters have done against him lifetime. We talked about it earlier. Really bad stats for them, but not a lot of strikeouts. If you actually take note of this, you notice he's dominating them. They obviously don't have a hit, but the strikeout percentage is not high. So just something to keep track of. For me, I wouldn't touch this play. I would not touch this play. I know it's going off at plus money here. The alternative line at 3.5. The alternative line at 3.5 at minus 215. Maybe that's where I'd take it. But even there, I'm not crazy about it. So to answer the question on YouTube from Top Dog, I would avoid that play today. I wouldn't touch Tony Gonsolin on total strikeouts. Not a play I like. For those who are curious, here are the plays that I do like. Here are the picks that we've put up on the screen so far, given out so far today. By the way, Top Dog is asking about which games we like. Braves, Dodgers on the run line. So I already mentioned earlier in the show that I do like the Dodgers on the run line, but you also just brought up the Braves on the run line, and that actually is another one of our favorite picks of the day. So I'm going to throw that one up on the screen as well. One of our other favorite plays of the day is the Braves minus 1.5. So the Braves on the run line, I'm taking that at minus 135. Couple reasons behind this. First of all, the Oakland A's won yesterday. How often do we see the A's win two games in a row? That's just a side note right there. LRK425 is somewhere out there going, yeah, the Oakland A's suck. That said, the pitching matchup today is really in the favor of the Atlanta Braves. Bryce Elder on the mound for the Braves. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball, believe it or not. So far on the road this year, 3-0 record, just a 1.93 ERA in 23 1/3 innings pitched. Bryce Elder hasn't given up a home run this year on the road. Opponents have just a .212 batting average against him. Meanwhile, J.P. Sears on the season is 0-3. He has a 4.70 ERA, is allowing 12 home runs this year, and opponents have a .240 average. The Braves are 7-1 in the last 8 meetings between the two teams in Oakland. Braves are also 15-7 in their last 22 games against the Athletics. I do like the Braves on the run line today, throwing it up there at minus 135. L. Chappers, for the question you asked about the weather, there's a website called ballparkpal.com. Ballparkpal.com. It's free. You can go to it and you can see it's someone, as you can see from the description up here, they just made a model that plugs in the variables around the weather and sees how it's going to impact the scoring, the home runs, extra base hits, singles, and scoring across every game in Major League Baseball. So just a fun thing you can use to try to find some good over-under plays, as well as understand which games might be better for taking hits, home runs, and other things. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. IP Shade 45 just hooked us up with some confetti. Thank you so much. Again, every time we get confetti, we give out a pick. So we are going to give out another pick. Thank you so much, IP Shade 45. So the next pick we are going to give out is going to be an MLB trend play. By the way, I actually owe you guys another one. I owe you two, because I should have put up here Shohei Ohtani over 1.5 hits plus runs. Hits plus runs plus RBIs. So this one I already owed you guys, so that's minus 130. But I now owe you guys another pick because IP Shade 45 just came through with a confetti. So Ketel Marte, I'm taking him at over 1.5 bases. Marte over 1.5 bases at minus 120. At minus 120. Reasoning behind that play for Marte in his career against Kyle Freeland, the starting pitcher for the Rockies today. 37 at-bats, 12 hits. That's good for a .324 batting average. That includes 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 5 RBIs, 6 walks, and 7 strikeouts. IP Shade 45, you know what I'm looking at. You got it. That's exactly right. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Make sure you're throwing your comments in the chat. If you have questions, we're all here for it. But if you also have comments, I'm about it as well. Just let us know. Dante, Atlanta will definitely be swinging the bats today after being embarrassed yesterday by the worst team in baseball. Sometimes it's not good to go off of that, oh, because this team lost, you go with them automatically the next day. But when a team is playing the Oakland Athletics, I feel like that's a very good bet. The chances that the Athletics put together a 2-game win streak, I have to feel like the likelihood of that's pretty low. So I'm willing to take my chances on that. Especially, again, left-handed pitcher J.P. Sears on the mound. Definitely one I like. By the way, let's actually look at that. I want to look at that MLB team stats. This is a bit of research I like to do on my own. Just kind of pulling the curtain back for you guys. So here. I'm going to use this. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I like to do, and I'm going to use the Braves as an example. So I like to go to Braves. I'll go to left-handed, how they do against left-handed pitching, and then I'll look at averages. And this is another way that you can find maybe some good plays. So you just look at how Braves hitters have done against left-handed pitching. Again, J.P. Sears on the mound today for the Oakland Athletics. Travis d'Arnaud, .474 batting average against left-handed pitching. Maybe we want to take him. Ozzie Albies, a .452 batting average against left-handed pitching, including 5 home runs. So, for those who are curious about how I engineer some of my picks, let's jump over back to our Outlier app. Let's go look at prop bets. We jump over, let's look at Ozzie Albies. Ozzie Albies over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Look at the implied probability, 58%. 58%. Let's look at hits just to see what we could get hits at. Overall hits, you're not getting great odds on it, but a 72% implied probability. Let's look at overall total bases. Total bases over 1.5 doesn't have a strong and implied probability, so now we know the bet we like. What's the bet? Hits, runs, and RBIs. Hits, runs, and RBIs has a good implied probability, good odds, and, again, his stats against left-handed pitching, Ozzie Albies, .452 batting average, 5 home runs, 15 RBIs. He's also scored 9 runs. That's the kind of information we're looking for. So if you guys are curious about how I engineer some of my picks, how do I go about trying to find the best bets of the day, this is one of the ways I do it. Look at the starting pitcher, who does well against that kind of right-handed or left-handed pitcher. Obviously, you guys know I look at the stats that hitter has specifically against the pitcher. But then, if there are no real good stats to be looked at, how do they do lefty-righty? What are their splits? So let's throw this one up on the board. It's going to be an in-show research bet. Another in-show research bet, but we're going to go Ozzie Albies over 1.5 hits, plus runs, plus RBIs. And we're going to take that. We saw it at -140. -140 on DraftKings. Bingo. So for all of those who are curious about how Butt Fumble Sports goes about our research, there's an example of it right there. Drew, we have not gone over our Shane McClellan plays yet, so let's look at that. By the way, Top Dog, yes I do. Yes I do, Top Dog. I do like Freddie Freeman over fantasy points today. Yes I do. Okay. Let's look at, we're going to go to Shane McClanahan. Shane McClanahan. And specifically, your question was about, Drew, what's your specific question about McClanahan? Are you asking about strikeouts? Are you asking, okay, over 5.5 strikeouts. Let's check it out. 5.5 strikeouts. So interesting, the line here is set at 6.5, and it has a good implied probability. So immediately I'm thinking if you can get it at 5.5 strikeouts, cha-ching, yes sir, love that. Really strong, really strong. Again, if you're taking it at 5.5, I love it even more. Let's see what the alternative line is for the 5.5 here. -265. That's what the alternative line is here on Outlier. Not crazy about it there, but that's pretty good. If you're finding it somewhere where you can get it at 5.5 and you like the line on it, I do like it. Against the Chicago Cubs, I do like this play a lot. Against McClanahan, just not a lot of good stats. Not a lot of good stats here. Patrick Wisdom does have a home run against him, but other than that, just not a lot of numbers. And you're seeing strikeouts as well. Happ, Gomes, Horner. Like this one. Like this one. So, if I had to go in a direction on this, I actually might throw this one up on my board as well. I kind of like this play. It's been pretty consistent. 4 out of the last 5 games. Let's look at it on the road. Okay, now I'm talking myself out of it. Shane McClanahan on the road has only gotten over the 5.5 only, or over the 6.5 only once. Again, this is why if you can take it at the alternative odds at the 5.5, it's worth it. Drew, if you can, I do like taking this at 5.5. I don't like taking this at 6.5. This stat about how he's done on the road this year, that's what tells me a lot. So that's what's driving my decision making on that one. For all of those who are curious about my picks so far today, here are all the picks we've given out up here on the screen so far. So check them out. If you guys have any questions or want some more, let us know. We are definitely down to give out more picks today. Joseph is asking about Greinke over 3 strikeouts. Let's look at it. Zach Greinke, 3 strikeouts. So over 2.5 is going off at 60% implied probability. By the way, at minus 150, that's not a bad bet. That's not a bad bet. He's gone over 2.5 very consistently. I can already tell you, this is one I'm considering for my big board. Against the White Sox, though, yuck. Or it's against the Cardinals, rather. Against the Cardinals, only the one. But you look at over his last 20 games, like a really good stretch. Over his last 10, really good stat. I mean, when he's missed it, he's just missed it. This is a bit of a tough one for me, because Zach Greinke, I could see him getting knocked around a little bit. If we look at the stats that Cardinal hitters have against him, there are a couple hitters who knock him. Arenado in a large sample size. Goldschmidt in a decent sample size. By the way, look at Goldschmidt's stats. This is a tough one for me. Joseph, I think I'm going to throw this one up on my board. I actually kind of like this one. I'll take a chance on it. I'll take a chance on it. And I'm going to throw Zach Greinke over 2.5 strikeouts. Taking it at minus 150. Let's see what we get. So taking a chance on it. A couple trends there work in our favor, though. What I really liked was just eight times it's hit over the last 10 games, and the 2 times it missed, he had 2 strikeouts. Worth taking a chance on it, Joseph. Again, we're going over 2.5 on it, Joseph. Over 2.5 for Zach Greinke. For those who are just joining the show, here are the picks that we have so far up on our big board so far today. So appreciate all of you guys being with us. Still tons of picks to give out. Tyler, as you can tell, we do like Ronald Acuna over 9.5 fantasy points. We do like that. Okay, MVP Metcalf. I know you're a very loyal viewer and follower, but you're going against one of our cardinal rules. For all of those who are very loyal viewers, you guys probably have heard me say this before. I do not like locks. I hate the term. I hate the concept. What is a lock? What is a sure thing in life? No such thing. Do not like locks, as you can see from the tips that we give out. We always respect the game. We never consider anything a lock. If we put it up on our big board, it tells you it's a trend that we like. There's a trend behind it that we like. There's a piece of information that we like. So do we have ranging confidence levels on our picks? Sure. But when it comes to a lock, we don't have locks, because a lock suggests that there's such thing as a sure thing. Tyler, exactly. Death, taxes, and having your heart broken. Those are the locks in life. Other than that, you got to ride with the trends that we have. These are picks we like, but we don't give out locks, and I never want to present myself in that kind of way. If you want to go talk to some sports betting expert in Vegas who claims to have locks, MVP Metcalf, I'm telling you, these are the picks we like. You got to go through it. If you want my confidence level, you can subscribe on TikTok. Every time we get a subscriber on TikTok, we give out our confidence level about our picks. But other than that, YA Tittle, we don't block people, especially MVP Metcalf. MVP Metcalf, has been a very loyal viewer through the football season, a big fantasy football fan. So no knocks, we don't block. As long as people play nice and don't curse or don't insult people, we don't block people. But I'm definitely not one to say locks. One Big Deal 22. Hey, Big Dave, what do you think about? What do we think about the French Open picks? Big Dave would love to get your takes on it. Big Dave is touting himself as a tennis expert. Obviously, I'm making fun. But if you know tennis, I would love to get some picks. So Big Dave, throw your picks up on the screen. For all of those who love betting tennis, throw it up on the screen. By the way, tennis is always a sport that I'm always a little bit worried about betting, because I feel like especially the early games in a match can kind of get away from even the best players. Then they can storm back. Navarro already women's, men's, or the ladies? Yeah, go for it. Big Dave giving out some good picks. I like it. So we have hit 10,000 likes, so while Dave continues to feed the tennis beast, we're going to give out some more picks. Let's go to a kind of an off-the-board play, you may say. Nick Prado, for the Kansas City Royals. We are going to take him at over half a base. Over half a base, and we are getting that at minus 160. At minus 160. The reason we like that play, Nick Prado, a left-handed hitter, Miles Michaelis on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals against left-handed hitters this year, 315 average, 3 home runs allowed, 10 doubles, 12 RBIs. So left-handed hitters are hitting really well against Miles Michaelis, so I like that play as well. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Here are the picks that we've thrown up on the board so far today. So Candyman, you were asking about Shane McClanahan. We just went through that, Candyman. We just went through Shane McClanahan just a second ago. We said if we had to take it, go lean towards the 5.5 if you can, but not as crazy about it. Oh, MVP Metcalf. Sorry about that. Yeah, that prize pick can be tough. L Chappers, one more time. The website that we like to use for weather is called ballparkpal.com. Here, you can see it up on the screen. Ballparkpal.com. And for all of you who like player prop bets, this is a really good website. By the way, I'm going to do some kind of step back on this. I can look at the ballpark factors. I can look at game simulation. I can look at starting pitchers. I can also look at player prop bets. So, if I want to see guys who might have a higher probability on overall home runs, or if I want to see the number of plate appearances they could get, these are all kinds of bets and research that we can do. So ballparkpal.com is a great website. It's a fantastic website, something you guys should be checking out. Ballparkpal.com, great website. Now, I use it a lot just to look at the ballpark factors with the weather, because I'm doing a lot of my research on my own. But for you guys who just kind of want to get some quick information really fast, definitely one you can look at. One Big Deal 22. Can we find a good hitter prop for the Diamondbacks game? That's several. There are several you're looking at. Well, one of them I already mentioned was Marte. I really liked Marte for that game. He has been on quite a hot streak of late. Also, when he hits from the right side, he still has a good advantage, and he's facing Kyle Freeland today. So that's one you may like. I'm also willing to show you how you can reverse engineer using Outlier some of these player prop bets. So if I go to that Arizona game against the Rockies, and I just go to the implied probability here, I set it at the over and hit the implied probability, look at what comes up. Tovar strikeouts, Christian Walker hit. So, perfect example, One Big Deal 22. If you're just looking for a good hitter prop, this may be a way you want to take it. Just look at, okay, implied probability, Christian Walker over half a hit. By the way, why do we like this? It's a lefty-righty matchup. Lefty-righty matchup. Kyle Freeland going up against Christian Walker. Makes sense that that's a good play. Now, it's a minus 239, so you may not like it. But that said, might be something you want to consider here. Corbin Carroll, another one, over half a hit. Strong play. So anyways, these are ones you just might want to look at. How about hits, runs, RBIs? Strong implied probability. Nolan Jones, over half. Didn't even see that one on the board. Evan Longoria, a strong implied probability at over 1.5. Corbin Carroll again. Is Corbin Carroll worth taking? Let's look at home. So there's just a couple. Let's look at hits. Just at hits. Again, Christian Walker's number 1 at minus 239. That may not be a good play for most of you, but if you're just looking for what's the strongest play out of this game, might be something to consider. Jimmy's his fantasy score had you sweating. Yeah, no doubt. YA Tittle 24, I would lean slightly towards it, yes. Guys, Big Dave's onto something. If you guys are looking at French Open, you might want to consider following Big Dave 22 FanDuel results. Big Dave, make sure you DM us on TikTok, Instagram, or on Twitter afterwards so we could talk about setting you up, getting some of your picks every day. Okay, Top Dog's throwing out there Bruce Brown over half a three-pointer, everybody. Yeah, we know it. We know it, Top Dog. The only thing, though, and we'll talk about it when we get closer to Game 1 of that series, the one thing you want to be mindful of when you're taking some of these bets around the NBA Finals, just be mindful that the Heat just proved they can play some pretty good defense against the Boston Celtics three-point shooting, so just be a little careful. Here are the picks we've thrown up so far today. Let's give out another pick. Let's give out another pick. Let's give out a game pick. Let's give out an MLB game pick. The next one we're going to give out, we'll throw it up here. The next pick we're going to give out is going to be Brewers, Blue Jays, and we are going to take the over on this one. Blue Jays hosting the Brewers. We're going to take the over 8.5. I'm going to take it at minus 155. Minus 155. Looking at the ballparkpal.com, it's one of the few games I actually like when it comes to weather and scoring. Obviously, this is in the dome. Maybe the roof is open, but still a good opportunity here to take this game on the over. Again, part of the reason I'm taking it, just to give out some trends about this game. The over is 4-0 in the last 4 meetings between the two teams. The over is 7-2 in the Blue Jays' last 9 games overall. And the over is 6-2 in the Brewers' last 8 road games with a total set between 8.5 and 10 runs. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. That's another pick that we just gave out. Brewers at Blue Jays over 8.5 runs. We have about 35 minutes left of our show. About 35 minutes left of the show. Giving out as many picks as we can. Obviously having a lot of fun answering all of your questions. Make sure you're throwing your questions and comments in the chat. We're here to answer all of them for the next 35 minutes. MVP Metcalf is asking about Brandon Marsh over total bases. Let's dive into it. We're going to total bases. We look at Brandon Marsh. Not up on the board. Not up on the board. Let's see if we... oh, that's why. Sorry, my bad. Brandon Marsh. So over half a base has a strong implied probability of 57%. We certainly like that. Every time we get above 55%, we're happy with that. And it's been a really strong play. 5 games in a row. So MVP Metcalf, I would go in that direction. I like it. I do like it. To a comment that we're getting up on YouTube. Actually, I'm going to throw this one up on the board. I'm going to throw it up on the board. Brandon Marsh. Over half a base. I'm willing to take it. Brandon Marsh over half a base. Getting it at minus 135. Minus 135. So there's another pick we've added to our big board. One Big Deal 22 saying you can make a lot of money on tennis if you know what you're doing. I agree. Hopefully Big Dave can help us out. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. By the way, keep in mind, anytime someone says you can make a lot of money doing something, you can also lose your shirt. You can lose your house. Like, yeah, you can make a lot of money in oil. You can also go bust, you know? It's one of those things. Every time someone tells you there's an easy way to make money, know they're telling you a false truth. And by the way, that's not what Dave said. He just, yeah, you can make a lot of money. You can also lose it in a heartbeat. If you're watching on YouTube right now, throw some comments in the chat. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Let us know what you guys think of our picks. If you guys have any comments, questions, would love to hear from those watching on YouTube. What do you think of the show? By the way, what do you guys think of the show? Big Dave coming in from Arizona. Great to see you, Big Dave. Appreciate you being a part of our viewership now. Any thoughts on the Stanley Cup final? Seems like a coin toss. We haven't done our research just yet, so I'm waiting to dive into that series a little bit. Going to do our research tonight on it. But YA Tittle does feel like a bit of a coin toss. If I had to go in any direction, I just love the Florida Panthers right now. I love the Panthers, yeah. Dave and I are kind of in the same place. I just love how the Panthers are playing. They feel like the best team in the NHL right now, just given how they've gone through the playoffs. MVP Metcalf, you need to join us earlier in the show. We went through Kyle Hendricks a little bit earlier. If you guys missed any of our picks or research earlier in the show, don't worry, we post the entire show to YouTube. That way you can go back through, check out any of the picks you missed, any of the research, all of it, and that way you never miss an opportunity to get all of the information. What are your favorite bets of the day? If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on TikTok, what's your one favorite bet of the day? Would love to hear. Everybody, just give me one of your favorite bets of the day. You can see my favorite picks up on the screen. Everyone who's watching, throw your one favorite pick of the day up there. We're going to have a celebrity pick round right here. One Big Deal 22, I totally agree with you. I love Butler Murray. I think it's going to be a phenomenal matchup. Jack, low-key, I like the Orioles 1.5 on the run line a lot. Okay, Jack, we're going to keep track of it. We're going to have the celebrity shot right now, so all of you throw your favorite pick in the comment section or the chat section. Would love to know your one favorite pick of the day. Drew says Prize Picks taco discount on McClanahan. Love it. MVP Metcalf. Jorge Soler over 1.5 total bases. MVP Metcalf, we'll get to that. We're just asking people for their favorite picks right now. Marlins, first 5 on the money line with One Big Deal 22. Love that play. Definitely love that play. Good call. Top Dog. Appreciate the love you're showing for Butt Fumble Sports. Someone says Dodgers on the run line is their favorite bet of the day. Someone else is saying Mariners on the run line is their favorite bet of the day. Interesting. Appreciate all of you guys sharing your favorite picks of the day. Fun seeing where you guys are coming down. A number of you guys have some good MLB game picks, a few player prop bets. Does anyone have a long ball, long shot of the day? Does anyone have the baseballs to put out a long ball, long shot of the day? Who thinks someone's going to hit a home run today? Big Dave does. Big Dave is going with Yordan Alvarez on a home run. Okay. Keeping track of that one. Good call, Big Dave. I like it. Joe Ryan on the bump. What's my favorite NFL team? I don't have one. I don't have a favorite NFL team at this point. I've worked in sports media for over 15 years. I just love sports. I just love talking sports. So no, I don't have a favorite team. As I like to say, my favorite team is the one that cashes my ticket. Jack likes Ozzie Albies on a home run. You saw our research on Ozzie Albies a little bit earlier. Acuna and Mountcastle to hit a home run. YA Tittle 24 putting it out there. Love that. Love hearing your picks, everybody. Having a lot of fun hearing your takes on which games or home runs you like. So I had a lot of fun with that. We did get a question just a moment ago from MVP Metcalf about Jorge Soler. So let's go check it out. And you were asking about total bases, I believe. So let's look at it. Total bases for Jorge Soler. 50% implied probability, so not too high. Has been really hot of late, obviously, until yesterday. He is facing the Padres today. So he's facing a left-handed pitcher, and he is raked against left-handed pitching. I would say I'd take this one. I'm going to throw it up on the board as well. By the way, do I personally like betting on first inning runs? No, I don't. If you guys know me, those who watch the show religiously know, I hate betting on first inning home runs. Unless I see a game that has a really high run total, that would be the only time I take it. But normally, that's a really tough bet to make, and I never feel confident in it. So no, it's not a bet I really like to go down. I like to give out. That said, I do like this question around Jorge Soler. I would take the over 1.5, so I'm going to put this up as a bet. Jorge Soler. I'm not going to take it at the total bases, 1.5. I would rather take it at hits, runs. Oh, it's going off at 2.5. Never mind. We will take it at over 1.5 total bases. Jorge Soler, over 1.5 total bases. We're getting it at even money. Even money. I like it. Again, we're really doing that because it's a lefty-righty matchup. Jorge Soler has crushed on left-handed pitching this year. Jack, interesting. So Jack is riding with the D-backs and Rockies. First run in the first inning. Like it. MVP Metcalf got another question. Bo Bichette, 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Let's look at it. Bo Bichette. We have under a half hour left of our show. Make sure you're throwing your questions and comments in the chat. So first of all, really strong implied probability on this one. Really like it. So Bo Bichette, it's been a consistent play. At home, not as consistent maybe. But of late, it's been a good play. Over the last 10, 5 out of the last 6. Love the play. Now, against Hauser, let's look at Adrian Hauser. How has Bo Bichette done in his career? He is 0 for 3. I know it's a small sample size, but just a note. So, a little bit hesitant on it from that perspective. On the other side, I do like the play, though. I do like the play over 1.5 at minus 130. Good implied probability. So, if I did have to go in any direction on this one, I would take the over just slightly, MVP Metcalf. By the way, Dante on YouTube saying Buxton home run today. Okay, Dante, we'll keep track of it. I love it. Love hearing from you guys. Love your picks, your comments, your questions. Such a great community here at Butt Fumble Sports. If I don't say it enough, you guys are a bunch of buddies. I put 2 T's in that, by the way. Jack, you're asking about Gibson on strikeouts, so let's look at Kyle Gibson total strikeouts. Looking at Kyle Gibson. Implied probability here, 58%. We love that. Again, we're expecting this to be a very strong weather game. So, over, under 3.5. Interesting. You looked at it's hit 3 out of the last 4. The one time it missed was against the Yankees. You almost can't fault him for that. How has he done at home this year? 4 games in a row it's hit. 4 games in a row. Let's add it to the big board. We like it. Kyle Gibson over 3.5 strikeouts at minus 137. Add it to the board. Kyle Gibson over 3.5 strikeouts at minus 137. Love the play. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you're following Butt Fumble Sports. If you're watching the show right now, make sure you're a follower of Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know every time that we're live. MVP Metcalf, would you rather take Soler or Marte on total bases? I would rather take Marte. All the picks up on the screen right now. Here are all the picks we've given out so far during our show. For those who are new to the show, if it has a bullet point next to it, it's a pick that I researched prior to our show. That way we were able to have it all loaded up. If it has an asterisk next to it, it means we were doing our research during the show and wanted to give it out as a pick because we saw a really good trend associated with it. IP Shade 45, thank you so much for the confetti and the TikTok. What's your question, IP Shade 45? Did you have a specific question, or were you just looking for a pick? IP Shade 45, let us know. For all of those that are watching, so Nestor Cortez over 1.5 walks. Really interesting. Let's check it out. IP Shade 45 asking about Nestor Cortez and walks. Don't usually look at that. Maybe that's a really good rabbit hole thing to go down, is looking at walks. Let's dive into it. Nestor Cortez. See, I'm not seeing that we can research that here on Outlier, or walks allowed. There it is. My bad. Okay, over 1.5 walks. The implied probability 52%, but it's been a very consistent play of late. Very consistent over the last few games. Wow. Look at that. 5 out of his last 7, rather. Really interesting. IP Shade 45. Great call. Let's dive into it a little bit further. How have the Mariners done against Nestor Cortez? Some good numbers against him. We'll look at walks a little bit more. But Hernandez, good numbers. Crawford and Haggerty. Murphy, small sample sizes, but a couple hits. Looking at walks right now for Nestor Cortez. Head-to-head against the Mariners, small sample size. On the road, bit hit or miss. But this has been a strong play over the last 7 games. Let's go to our Outlier app. Let's go to Fangraphs rather. Against left-handed pitching at home. And we're looking at walks this time. How have the Mariners done on walks? Okay, they're 15th. They're literally the middle of the pack. 15th on walks against left-handed pitching at home. I'm going to jump over here and let's just see how they've done as a lineup overall against left-handed pitching. I know we can find this on Outlier as well. Just think it's a bit clean right here. So looking at overall against left-handed pitching, looking at overall walks, 41, interesting. Just trying to find some data, just trying to find something that can be of note. So if I had to go in one direction, IP Shade 45, I do like the over here. I would take the over. I'm not going to put it up on my big board, but I would take the over. Nestor Cortez, over 1.5 walks. Really interesting play. IP Shade 45, finding something really interesting. Love where you're doing your research. Big shout out to IP Shade 45. Great viewer, great idea, great research. Okay, getting a comment from Dante on YouTube. That I want to share with the entire Butt Fumble Sports community. Dante wrote, keynote, when Corey Jukes, Julks, is playing, please take him over a hit. This young man is on fire with the Astros. I know it's not a lot of starts or a lot of stats on him, but he is hot. Okay, Dante, let's look into it. Let's just see what we can take him at. Love when you guys add or contribute to the show with your picks and your takes. So again, the comment from Dante on YouTube was about Corey Jukes. So let's see if we can find him. There you see, guys. Not seeing is anything available for him. Not seeing any offerings, no results available. So unfortunately, Dante, Outlier or the sports books don't have anything on him. But we'll keep our eye on that one for the future. Appreciate you sharing that one with us. Love when you guys bring your own research and information to the table. Appreciate that so much, Dante. Top Dog, you're asking about the Mariners on the money line. Let's talk about it. So this Yankees-Mariners game. Yankees are the slight underdog on this one. Looking at the line movement, it shifted towards the Mariners over the last 10 hours or so, 12 hours. Was at minus 120, and it has since swung to minus 135. Nestor Cortez, that ERA is concerning. A 5.30 ERA for him is just not what we expect from Nestor Cortes. As we already showed, there are some hitters in this Mariners lineup who hit him pretty well. Then you look at Logan Gilbert. Good ERA here, a 3.60. So just interesting. Let's look at how the Yankees have done, how Yankee hitters have done against him. Mentioned this earlier. Anthony Rizzo, good numbers. Bauer, good numbers, but small sample sizes. LeMahieu, good numbers, but small sample sizes. Not a lot to run off of here. Again, Rizzo is hurt. Rizzo does have a shoulder injury, so you don't want to necessarily play him today. I would have considered him maybe for a home run of the day if he was full tilt, but he is not. So with that said, if I had to go in any direction for this one, I'd lean slightly towards the Mariners on the money line, but really don't have a strong sense of this one. So to the question on YouTube from Top Dog, don't have a great play on this one. If I had to go in one direction, it would be the Mariners, but don't have a lot of conviction behind it. Nestor Cortes not pitching well. We've seen that he can come out with a great performance every now and then, so for a lot of reasons, I would avoid this game right here. Okay, Candyman is asking about Lucas Giolito, 5.5 hits allowed. Let's look at it. Lucas Giolito. And we're looking at hits allowed. Over 5.5. Doesn't have a great implied probability, 51%. Has been fairly consistent over the last 3 starts, but Tigers, wow, that's interesting. So he has gone on over this against the Tigers and the Royals. Facing the Angels today. Let's see how he's done at home. Strong play over the last 3. Head-to-head against the Angels. In the one start he had this season, it hit the over. Let's look at Angel hitters against Giolito. You can see Ohtani. You can see the reason we liked Ohtani on a home run. Really good numbers. Really good numbers for Ohtani against Giolito. Other than him, though, Rengifo, good numbers. Ward, good numbers. There are a couple guys who could get you some hits. I would go with the over. I would lean slightly towards the over 5.5 here. I know the under's got the stronger odds, but I kind of like the over here with Lucas Giolito. Really quick, let's just look at the weather again to see how hits are going to be impacted in that game. So here's one note. I know weather's not really in our favor today, but for this Angels-White Sox game, the idea of singles is at least up. So I actually do like this one, Candyman. I do like the over 5.5 on hits allowed. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you're following Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know when we're live every single day. Like we've been doing, we are live every day for 2 hours. We are 1 hour and 45 minutes into this show. We have just 15 minutes left of our show. For all of those who are just joining us, here are the picks that we like so far today up here on our big board. So for all of those who are just joining us, you can see the picks that we like. If it has a bullet point next to it, it's a pick we did our research prior to the show. And asterisk means it's a pick that we did mid-show because we like the trends that we saw in doing our research. Again, a programming note for all of you. Tonight at 7 p.m., that's Tuesday, May 30th, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be back on TikTok Live and on YouTube, as well as on Twitter Spaces, and we will be having an NFL preview show. So a 2023 NFL regular season preview show where we will go through every team, every week, every game, determining which team is going to win and which team is going to lose. And that way we will determine the win totals for every NFL team. We are officially 100 days on the dot from the NFL regular season. So tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be going through the entire NFL 2023 regular season and giving out our win and loss picks. And that way you can come up with your overall win-loss totals, your win totals, as well as where will teams finish in divisions, so you can maybe put some future bets on that. MVP Metcalf, hope you join us for that tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitter Spaces. Have just a few minutes left of our show. If you guys have any questions, make sure you're throwing them in the chat. Jack, we'll get to all of it tonight. Candyman. Yeah, are the Saints going to win the NFC South? That's a great question. Is there an alternative line for Logan Gilbert, say 5.5 strikeouts instead of 6? 5.5 is a better play. IP Shade 45, let's look at it. So, Logan Gilbert, for strikeouts, you're asking about an alternative line on total strikeouts. The answer is the alternative line for 5.5s at -144. That's a really good play. IP Shade 45, good call. I like that one. Over 5.5 at -144. If you're going to take the bet, take it there for sure. Really strong play of late. Really strong play. The Yankees on the road against right-handed pitching. Did we look at that? I don't think we did. Yankees on the road against right-handed starting pitching. 24th in the league, so not a great number. Not a great number. Wish they had more strikeouts against right-handed pitching. Do I bet KBO like Korean baseball? No. I don't, only because I don't have good data on it. So for all of those who are curious about what we give our advice on, we are always looking for things that we can actually give advice on that doesn't just come out of our butt fumble. So for that reason, no, I don't have any good Korean baseball picks. MVP Metcalf is asking about Kyle Freeland over 3.5 strikeouts. Let's check it out. Kyle Freeland, total strikeouts. So the implied probability is only at 50%. Don't like that. It's been a good play, it seems, of late. It seems like a good play over the course of the season. On the road, 2 out of the 3. Head-to-head against the Diamondbacks. This isn't really a play I like, though. It's just not a play I like. You look at how he's done against the Diamondbacks. The strikeouts per 9 is lower. I don't like the play. I wouldn't go with it, MVP Metcalf. I don't like it. Not a play for me. Nope. Wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't touch it. Candyman, Tyler Anderson over 5.5 hits allowed. Maybe 4.5 worse odds. Let's check it out. Candyman is asking about over 5.5 hits allowed. 5.5 hits allowed for Kyle Anderson. So let's go to Anderson. Tyler Anderson, not Kyle Anderson. Tyler Anderson, over under hits allowed. 61% implied probability on over 5.5 hits allowed. Now, I understand why you want to take it. I'm not seeing an alternative line play here. So I'm seeing you can only take it at the 5.5. But that said, really strong trend. If you could get it at 4.5, take it automatically. If you can get it at 4.5, I would take it right away. Candyman 4.5 is a cashing ticket. That is a great ticket if you can get it at 4.5. I'm not seeing it there. I'm seeing it at 5.5. Seems like the only one. Jorge, appreciate you joining the show, but you're a bit late on that. If you want to see any of the picks that we've given out or any of the research that we've done already in the show, wait until we post the show on YouTube in just a couple of minutes. You can go back through. We did talk about Shane McClanahan a little bit earlier in the show. So if you guys want to check back on that, you can see our show. We went back through and we did Shane McClanahan a little bit earlier, so you can check on that. If you ever miss one of our picks or the research that we do throughout the show, make sure you go to YouTube. We post every show up on YouTube. That way you can always find it. Only a few minutes left of our show. Really appreciate all of you guys joining us. If you've been asking a lot of questions, hope you're also following, hope you're also subscribing. Really appreciate those who support the show. Candyman, if you can get it at 4.5, I really like it there. Candyman, I love the 4.5 at -295. Obviously, I feel like it's a leg of a parlay at the -295, but I do like it. Appreciate all of those loyal followers and loyal subscribers. Again, if you love the show, Make sure you subscribe on TikTok. Goes a long way. If anyone subscribes on TikTok right now, I will go through all of my picks that I put up on the board and give my confidence level for every pick. So if you want to hear my confidence level about any pick or all my picks, make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you're subscribing on TikTok. If you guys have questions, we have answers. For those watching on YouTube, we have answers as well. Top Dog, you're asking about Bryce Elder under-earned runs. Let's go check it out. Bryce Elder under-earned runs. So we want earned runs, and we're looking, we want earned runs for Bryce Elder. So over 2.5 has an implied probability of 39%. The under at 64%. So we really like it there, Top Dog. Under 2.5 earned runs, 64% implied probability. Love that. And it's been a really a consistently cashing ticket. Really like that play. Really like that play. So under 2.5 earned runs, love that play. Would go with it, Top Dog. I do like that one, Top Dog. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Let's look at Lourdes Gurriel. We will look at Lourdes Gurriel, though MVP Metcalf going a little crazy. Let's look at Lourdes Gurriel. And you were asking about over under 1.5 bases. So there you see the implied probability, not strong on either side, not strong on either side. You were asking about the over. Let's look at it. Has been hot of late, has been a really hot play of late. Let's look at home. Has been a hot play. Over his last 20 has been a hot play. Head-to-head has been a hot play if you're only taking the one game. If I had to go in any direction, I would take the over 1.5 total bases for Lourdes Gurriel. I would take the over. Kyle is asking about the Padres on the run line. Let's look at that really quick. Padres on the run line. Let's check it out. Appreciate all those who are watching on YouTube. Make sure you throw your comments in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Again, Padres on the run line, plus 1.5, getting it at minus 170. Padres have covered that 6 out of the last 10. Head-to-head, that's also been a pretty good consistent play. Now, here's the only problem I have. Ryan Weathers, the 3.94 ERA, not bad. But on the other side, Alcantara, his ERA is not actually as impressive. So on this one, I think I would. Here's another place I like to go for. You'll see. We'll bring it up in a minute. It's MLB. This is another website I love. Over, under. Is these team rankings. Team rankings. If I go to the over-under here, this is another website that I love to use. Another website that I love to use right here. And this allows me to look at the over-under plays for these teams. So we were just asked about looking at the run line for the Padres. How have the Padres done on the road on the run line? Let's check it out. So on the road, on the run line, San Diego is 15-11. 15-11 on the run line, on the road. Pretty good. Pretty good play. I would say yes. If I had to answer the question that Kyle had up on YouTube, I would say yes. I do like the Padres plus 1.5 today. By the way, I had a question about, do you have a favorite for World Series winner? The two teams that if I right now were putting money on a futures bet on the World Series, I would take the Tampa Bay Rays and I would take the Atlanta Braves. I know that's not going out on a big limb, but those are the two best teams right now. I could see them absolutely winning the World Series. So the two teams, when it comes to a futures bet, again, those are going to be the favorites. So I'm not giving out anything that isn't an obvious play. But if I did have a World Series favorite right now, it would be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Atlanta Braves. If I had one long shot, always keep your eye on the New York Yankees. You know they're going to get some of their starters back in the rotation. You know they're going to make additions at the trade deadline. You're probably getting the Yankees right now with the best odds you're ever going to get them. So that would be the only team that I may consider outside of the Rays and the Braves. Only because, again, I have a lot of faith that the Yankees, they have a loaded team when it's healthy. And I think Brian Cashman will continue to make moves at an aggressive clip. Candyman taking away a Braves World Series ring because of one loss to the A's. Ouch. Ouch. Candyman giving a hard time to everybody. IP Shade 45 as a Dodgers fan, I cannot co-sign that. I totally understand. IP Shade 45, the only question I have about the Dodgers right now is the depth of their pitching. And that's the reason the Dodgers are not one of the teams I'm including right now as one I would consider to make it to the World Series. I have some concern about the Dodgers, the depth of their pitching staff. By the way, Candyman and IP Shade 45, a couple of Dodger fans finding each other. Is it love? No, I love you guys engaging with one another on the chat. Don't want to discourage that. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Hope you've had a lot of fun today. We're about to wrap up our 2-hour show. Dodger fans travel. Dodger fans are exceptional. I actually think Dodger fans, I talked about this earlier in the week, or last week rather. I think Dodger fans don't get enough respect. Everyone thinks of LA as a big Laker town, and obviously it is. The Lakers are the number one team. But Dodger fans are incredibly passionate. They're committed. They're loyal. I really like Dodger fans. I'm not as crazy about Dodger Stadium as we talked about. I feel like that could use an upgrade. Some of you guys said they did make some work on it, but I do love Dodger fans. Some of my favorite fans, actually. Now, you find me a good Angels fan. That would be an impressive thing. I haven't found a good Angels fan yet. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Make sure you guys follow us. That way you know every time we're live. We have a bunch of shows coming up. So one more time, for programming purposes, we have a show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 7 p.m. tonight Eastern Standard Time, we will have an NFL show. We will preview every game of the NFL season and give you win totals for every team. So make sure you're with us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys want to rant, debate, argue about the NFL, make sure you're joining us at 7 p.m. tonight on TikTok Live, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter Spaces. And again, for all of those who love our daily sports betting show, we are live every single day for 2 hours. Every day for 2 hours we are live. We will be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. We are live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for all those on the West Coast, make sure you get up early. Make sure you're joining us 11 a.m. The live is just about to end. What time does the live end today? We're about to sign off with our show. Once we wrap up, this show will be posted up on YouTube. That way you can see all of our picks and all of our research. Again, we are live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are officially 100 days away from the NFL regular season kicking off, and we are doing our NFL preview show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you're with us on YouTube. Appreciate all you guys joining us. Make sure you're following us. And again, we are live tonight at 7 p.m. on YouTube, TikTok, and on Twitter Spaces. And tomorrow, we are live as always for our regular show at 11 a.m. tomorrow, 11 a.m. Wednesday. So make sure you're following, make sure you're with us. As I say every single day, I hope you guys stay healthy. I hope you stay safe. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. You guys know how much I appreciate you. Colton, IP Shade 45, Jorge, MVP Metcalf, Candyman. Big shout out to you guys. Also want a big Jack. Great to see you in the chat today. One Big Deal 22. Big Dave 2022 FanDuel results. Got some great info out of him. YA Tittle 24. Big shout out. Drew 7382. big shout out to you. Joseph, big shout out to you today. Appreciate your support as always during the show. L. Chappers, it was great to see you on the show today. Tyler, it was awesome seeing you today. Also want to give a big shout out to all those who watched on YouTube. Ryan, Blease, Dante, Kyle, Anthony, Mark, Haley, Will, big shout out to you. Big shout out, Top Dog. Hope all of you had a wonderful show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you missed any part of it, it'll be posted live right after we sign off. Again, hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Hope you cash a lot of tickets. Hope to see you tonight at 7 p.m. And if not, we hope to see you tomorrow at 11.